Good morning, interneters. We continue with the tips. For today, it's more rules of how to make questions in the French language. Well, it is important for basic survival. It is important for the exams. Even in DELF A1, for instance, you will be required to make questions in the language. For this, there are three structures. We are going to study each one in detail in two parts. There are two types of questions, as you might know it already. The first type is what you call closed questions, meaning you have to answer by either yes or a no. Like for instance, do you stay in Delhi? The answer is either yes, I stay in Delhi, or no, I don't stay in Delhi. The second category is what you would call an open question, like where do you stay? That we will see in a different blog. Among the basic things you need in communication, and especially in survival French, is how to ask questions. Suppose you are facing a situation where you can only speak in French and you have to show that you know French. Learn a set of questions, ask all of them, the other person will answer, and before he starts asking questions, run away. So this is just a joke, of course. 6 examples I'm going to give you. The first one will be the simplest. The last one will be maybe the most complicated. But each time you'll notice, especially towards the last ones, the third structure will be more complicated than the rest. When you make a sentence, you have a subject, a verb, or a verbal group, and maybe an object if it is necessary. So when you're asking a question, it's the same thing. You'll have a subject, a verb, and maybe an object at the end. To make it sound like a question, these elements will change places, and sometimes you have to add something extra, like you're going to see in the second structure, or sometimes you need the intonation. Let us start. Now, let us concentrate on what you call the closed question. Suppose the answer is oui, j'habite à Tokyo, or it could be non, je n'habite pas à Tokyo. The first structure is, let's use the formal one, vous habitez à Tokyo, with a question mark at the end. So it is like a normal statement. You start with the subject, you have the verb, and you have à Tokyo. So for this, you need the intonation. You cannot say vous habitez à Tokyo. That becomes a statement. So it has to be vous habitez à Tokyo. So this is structure number 1. The first structure is usually used in what you call colloquial French. And the tone has to go up. It's important. Vous habitez à Tokyo. Now, the second structure has got a personality in French. There is this expression est-ce que, copy and paste. Est-ce que vous habitez à Tokyo? Then the statement. Here, you don't necessarily need the intonation because est-ce que is there. It has to be a question. Est-ce que vous habitez à Tokyo? You can, if you want to say, est-ce que vous habitez à Tokyo? The third structure is what you call the inversion of verb and subject. So the verb comes first, then the subject. So habitez-vous, when you write it, put a hyphen in between. Habitez-vous à Tokyo. So you don't need the intonation. It can be habitez-vous à Tokyo, or it could be habitez-vous à Tokyo. There is a little intonation in this. Let me show it to you. So this is what I would call the first example. Our next example is with a pronominal verb. The answer, let's say, is oui, je m'appelle Olivier. You have the first question, like a statement. Vous vous appelez Olivier? Vous vous appelez Olivier? First structure. Second structure, again, the personality, as I said, is est-ce que in the beginning. Est-ce que vous vous appelez Olivier? Question mark. Don't forget the question mark. Third one, now listen carefully. It starts with vous, which is in fact the second vous. of the sentence normally. So vous, and then you inverse like this. Appelez-vous. There's a liaison. Vous appelez-vous Olivier? So this is the third structure. Second example over. Let's see now an example in passé composé. The answer is oui, j'ai mangé. The first structure is vous avez mangé? Vous, the auxiliary verb avoir, and then manger, question mark. Second, est-ce que vous avez mangé? Now for the third one, you are going to inverse the auxiliary verb and the subject. Avez-vous? And then manger. Avez-vous mangé? This is the third example. Now, there are some particularities, especially in the third structure. Let's analyze it. The first example in the particularity is, the answer is oui, elle s'appelle Sophie. The first structure is easy. Elle s'appelle Sophie? No problem. It follows the same pattern that we have seen so far. Second one also, no problem. Est-ce qu'elle s'appelle Sophie? Don't forget the apostrophe after the QU. And the third one, s'appelle-t-elle Sophie? When a verb ends with a vowel, and if the following subject starts with a vowel, you put a T with two hyphens on either side of the T. S'appelle-t-elle Sophie, and the sound T, because it is very odd to say s'appelle-il. And the French don't like when there are two vowels clashing like this. So there's an artificial T which is added in the question. S'appelle-t-elle? Last example I'm going to give you is, oui, Jean travaille avec nous. No problem with the first structure. Jean travaille avec nous. It could be Jean travaille avec vous. Same thing. Answer is the same. Second structure, est-ce que Jean travaille avec nous? Now, when you come to the third structure, you cannot say travaille Jean avec nous. You cannot inverse a verb and a full noun. So what do? You put Jean first in the beginning, put a comma. Jean travaille-t-il avec nous? So you double the noun by the pronoun il. And don't forget that T in between. That is also there. So I'm combining two rules. Jean travaille-t-il avec nous? This third structure, of course, will need a little bit more practice than the first or the second. So they say that the first structure is colloquial French. The second structure is what you would call standard French. And the third one is aristocratic French. All this initially. But now, not many people distinguish. So whichever structure that comes to your mind first, shoot it. That's all for today for the first part. In the next vlog, I'll teach you how to make questions for open answer.